Hi, good morning. Being in a comfortable posture undisturbed, we find ourselves beginning to contemplate our physicality, making sure we're actually comfortable and we're undisturbed. In this way, we begin our meditation, being mindful about our meditation, of figuring out if there's something in our seat or under our feet or in our bed that's potentially the cause of discomfort. Could be a pebble, could be a fold in the material. It could be, in actuality, it could be anything. It could be mental. It could be one's mind is preoccupied with other things. As is often the case for beginners, and for everyone, it takes time to practice and evolve one's practice, to have enough control of one's ability to concentrate on focus, to have developed rituals and habits which augment our natural abilities. Things like focusing on one's breathing, or one's heart's pulsing, or on the heat emanating from one's body, or from the shimmering in one's cellular structure. These are all tools. So we use them often because they are always here. As long as we are alive, we have these tools to utilize. So why not take advantage of our good fortune? We're aware. So doing so, if one is confused or preoccupied, then realizing that this is part of our human condition, paying more attention to one's breath, taking a moment and reviewing what it means to breathe. We inhale and we reach a point where we are saturated with enough air. We don't want to breathe anymore. We have breathed to our limit. Perhaps our lungs are actually full to their capacity. This can be helped if we sit upright in a posture and lifting our shoulders up, then pressing them gently back. We expand the surface area of our lung. It's like a sponge. If one squeezes the sponge, it takes in less water. If one allows the sponge to expand, then it can take in more. It's the same thing with the air in our lungs. So doing this and relaxing. I recommend closing one's eyes. A breath to me is in 4 parts. Some people say 3 parts. Maybe some people just 1. You breathe. All of them are correct. What I mean by a 4-part is that we have already breathed in and we have filled our lungs. At this stage, there is a slight pause. We can accentuate this pause by expanding it, or we can ignore it and continue on. But there is a pause. That's part number 2. It represents an opportunity as that one can say to themselves in a pause one is aware of, thank you for being able to breathe. Simple as that. And then we continue on this journey through one's breath, and we find ourselves desirous of exhaling, of emptying our lungs with the carbon dioxide laden air that's accumulated. And so we breathe out. We find ourselves after a short period of time having emptied our lungs. And so again, we stop exhaling and we find ourselves in a pause. So number 3 is one's exhale, and number 4 is the pause in between the exhale and a new breath altogether when one begins to inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. This is a breath. Being aware of one's breathing. There are many things that one can do with one's breath. You can shorten it and increase the amount of oxygen that is in your system. You can lengthen it and decrease the amount of oxygen in your system. And cause yourself to relax more, as long as it's not too much, of course. We're not holding our breath. We're elongating our breath. There's a difference. And we can learn and practice and do different things to become more aware of our breathing. There's many books written about breathing techniques. Counting one's breath is among them, and different lengths of time in counting each particular aspect of one's breath. One's inhale or pause, or exhale or pause again. So many techniques. I suggest one develop their own, and you can use these others as a benchmark or examples to play with. Create a game. Similarly, one's finding of one's heart beating. As many of you know, the first time I thought of doing this for myself, I couldn't even find my heart beating without utilizing my hands to check my own pulse. On my opposite hand, on the wrist crease, underneath the opposite thumb, you can find, when you have your palm up, you can find, pressing down gently at your wrist crease, under your thumb, you'll find your pulsing radial artery. And of course, this is a great way to begin to have a familiarity with one's pulse, as it was for me. And so after a while, this develops when you practice consistently and regularly, which is the only way that you're going to move ahead. Otherwise, you're just wishing and wanting. But you're not accumulating very much experience. And it is the experience one needs to create rituals and habits of change. If you really are desirous of changing whom you are and self-improving, you need to do it diligently and consistently, and doing it in a positive way. There's a caveat that I just added to this. You need to be positive about what you're doing. How can I be positive, someone says, when I have failed to be disciplined and diligent? By being kind and understanding and having compassion for oneself, to being virtuous, because that's part of our plan. If one wants to facilitate one's own growth, one needs to understand we're not perfect. Certainly when one is beginning, you're going to find, perhaps as often as you maintain your discipline, as often you will fail. And it is a struggle. It's not necessarily a struggle, but it can be. It has been for me for many years. Having done it for on and off for 50 years, then I understand my process pretty well. So when one doesn't feel their pulse, or when one doesn't practice on a daily basis, then these could be of concern to someone, and they should be of concern, but not with anger or disappointment or criticism, self-criticism, but with a sense of, one, being receptive to what you're doing, which we like to always talk about. Two, accepting what we're seeing and feeling and witnessing about what we're thinking about. In this case, we're talking about inconsistencies, or it could be of success. And three, how do we proceed from these instances of self-realization? Because this is a form of self-realization. I'm realizing this about myself. And how do we do that? Again, we need to be virtuous. So virtuosity is important. Self-affirmations are a critical tool to utilize to being appreciative of whom one is, and of changing and developing one's characteristics, one's qualities, virtues, we like to think about and speak about and reinforce in ourselves. Because as I speak to you, I am also speaking to myself. It is an attitude one needs to inculcate into themselves. How best do we do that? Again, it comes back to this premise that I've just made a moment ago. We need to practice. You need to create new habits of behavior. It is like whatever it may be, one has habitualized that is positive or negative. It is a question of doing it or not. Do more of the good and do less of the bad. And don't be afraid to speak to yourself. For a long time, people have said, "Oh, don't daydream." What? Don't think? Don't imagine? Don't visualize? Don't create? No, that's nonsense. Don't talk to yourself. Well, you're talking to yourself all day. Are you doing it out loud? Maybe, but you're still talking to yourself all day. Think about it. Witness it. Do it on your own. Take nothing that I say for granted. Research. Surprise yourself with your own answers. Reinforcing whom you are becoming, because you're changing no matter what. The universe is energy, and as such, it is always oscillating and changing. It is the nature of what it is. Number 3 was one's attitude. How do we go about being positive and creating self-kindness, understanding, compassion? Being aware of these virtues in the very first place, and then practicing them. Okay. Thinking about this, about whom you and what you are. Remembering. There's 3 phrases I've tied together in my own practice, which I find very useful and helpful every day, many times a day. I am here now. Meaning what? We are here concentrating and focused upon what this moment is bringing us. It is bringing everything together. A bundle of miracles. I am here now, a bundle of miracles. What does that mean, a bundle of miracles? It means that we have developed through evolution over a span of millions upon millions of years. We are now whom we are based upon all of the lifetimes before us, which are encapsulated in our DNA. That's what I mean. Humbled by the immensity of creation. Not only are we here now bundles of miracles, we are humbled. We have a sense of perspective, is what I mean by this being humbled. Of ourselves, this bundle of miracles which we are, in comparison to the immensity of creation, of 7 billion other human beings, and all the different types of life and combinations of energy on our world, in our solar system, our sun, the other planets, interstellar space, space itself, time, gravities, all the things that we can imagine, and then multiplying that times the universe. Humbled by the immensity of creation. It's easy to do, and that's why we do it like this. And thankful. We have an attitude, again. And a moment ago, we were wanting to be helpful. We were wanting to be kind and compassionate and understanding. And now we want to be thankful. Why? Because we have a chance to live, to think, to actually have our neurons, our synapses, doing what we're doing right this instant. It need not be this way. Man need not ever have existed. This world, this solar system need not be counted in the Milky Way. We're not taking things for granted. We're being perceptive. In this moment of awareness, we're sharing as a group, but also individually, to realize and be thankful, full of gratitude for having this chance, for being alive. Thinking about these things. The music runs for another minute. Think and become. Namaste.